Now, with all those added accessories there is some minor assembly required, but not a whole lot. Really, the only thing that we want to do to kind of complete the look of Leonardo here is you got to plug in the little sheaths for his katanas right there into his back. There are 2 peg holes for this, and you'll notice that they are sized appropriately, so that way they plug in the correct position. So each little katana sheath there plugs in separately, and you do want to press nice and firm to get it locked into the little holes on the back the proper way. Otherwise, they will tend to pop out quite a lot, especially when you're posing the figure around. Once you got those in place, you can just slide the katanas right there into the sheaths, and that's it. Our Leonardo is ready to go. So before we get into all the cool accessories and the posability of this figure, let's take a moment to look at the sculpt and the paintwork on this guy. This is an incredibly well done Ninja Turtles action figure. The one thing that really drew me to these figures right out the gate is the fact that they are incredibly cartoon accurate. These are certainly the most cartoon accurate Nick Turtles that we have received in action figure form. In fact, I might even go as far as to say these are the most cartoon accurate Turtles ever. We did get the classic Turtles toys recently from Playmates based on the original cartoon, but these guys here are probably the most cartoon accurate I've ever seen any Ninja Turtles action figure. The paint job is nice and clean on this guy, and there's a lot of paint deco going on here. Not only do we have the nice green skin tone there with the signature blue bandana, but you'll notice he's also got his pupils in there that look just like the animated versions. You'll notice he's got a great, nice flat paint job right there on his chest where it's that kind of lighter tan color. You got the brown straps of the belt and the bandoliers, and the little buckles are individually painted with a gold color. You got the white kind of bandages, the wraps going around his wrists and his ankles and his fingers, and there's a lot of really great variants in all of that paint. So this guy looks incredible, and the sculpt is really good as well. Now, with all of the crazy articulation this guy has, you will notice that there are a lot of ball joints here. So he's got the ball joints at the shoulders and the elbows, and some of that does kind of break up the look of the sculpt just a little bit, but if you are familiar with these styles of action figures, that's really no shock or surprise to you. It's to be expected for the amount of articulation we've got with him. So since we're talking about the articulation, why don't we go ahead and run through that right now so you can see just how posable this guy is. The head's on this double ball joint thing, so the top of his head turns and at the base of his neck turns. So that means you can rock the head forwards and backwards, you can rotate it left and right, it can kind of bobble around. You got those ball joints at the shoulders there, so the arms can go all the way upwards, they can bend forwards and backwards. You can get a really great range of motion out of those ball joints there. You got the same kind of ball joints in the elbow, so they can bend forwards and backwards. They can also swivel both left and right there. You've also got the same type of ball joints in the wrist. That means the wrist can rotate left and right, they can swivel around, they can rock up and down. Got some great little pivots there. And all the fingers on his hand are individually ball jointed, so you can close them in grips, you can rotate them around. And this guy even has torso articulation. This might be the first Turtles figure ever that has a break at the shell, so that way you can bend his torso around a bit. He's got those same style kind of ball joints at the upper thighs there, though it is a little bit harder to turn these than the rest. You still can get a great range of motion swiveling the thighs there. You get great ball joints at the knees, so the knees can bend to and fro. You can also swivel them left and right. Just like the shoulders, there's a really great range of motion there. And the feet are even on ball joints, so you can rock the ankles all the way around. So this guy is an incredibly posable Ninja Turtle. Another thing that's really neat, posable eyes. You can actually rotate the bandana on the back of his head left and right to get the pupils in his eyes looking left or right or straight on. That's incredible, and it wasn't even something I was expecting with these guys. You can also actually turn it all the way over to one of the sides to completely white out his eyes. That way you can recreate some of those scenes where they're fighting and the eyes are all completely whited out. It's a really cool touch for this figure. So with all of that posability, we can really get some really cool different poses out of these guys that we've never really been able to get out of Ninja Turtles before. But we also got to take a look at his included weapon, his katana blades. And one thing that's really great about these, fully painted katana blades. That's right. I know that we're always used to having solid color weapons in Ninja Turtle lines, and these here are fully painted, and even the blades have a really nice metallic silver to them. They're also nice and sturdy weapons, and on top of that, they have little pegs on the handles. You'll notice that there's little holes in the palms of his hands, so that way you can get these katana blades to fit nice and snug in his hands, and then you can close the grip of his fingers around them. And now that we've got his katanas in his hands, we can get some really great poses. You can get some amazing swinging of the swords poses, great fighting stances, and man, one of the poses that completely blows my mind, we can get him reaching over his shoulder with both arms, grabbing onto his katana blades to pull them out of the sheath. Oh, that is incredible, and something we've never been able to do with any past Leonardo action figures. Now, while you're posing these guys around, it is worth noting that all of the joints do have the tendency to pop out of socket. It's okay. These are actually meant to do that. That's how the Revoltechs are made. So they do kind of pop out sometimes when you're posing them around. But like I said, if you're familiar with this style of action figure, that should really come as no surprise to you. Also, because they're so flexible, it does take a little patience sometimes to get them in the proper pose, the one that you're actually looking for. So it's really fun still just to kind of move these guys around and see what crazy poses you can get them to pull off. So aside from those katana blades, he comes with a few other really cool accessories. First of all, he's got this really neat figure stand. It's done in the style of a New York City kind of sewer lid there and a little chunk of brick wall kind of coming up the back. Now, this isn't actually meant for him to stand on, but instead is meant for aerial poses. You'll notice that there's a little ball-jointed kind of peg sticking off the top of that stand. You can actually swivel the brick wall there too, kind of back and forth. And the way this works is you'll notice that there's a little hole on the back of his shell underneath the sword sheaths. You can actually pop the little peg right into that, and now we can utilize this stand to get some really cool aerial poses. That way you can get some really great kind of jump kick poses, or just some shots of him kind of diving into battle with his katana blades. And here's another really fun little accessory. He comes with an interchangeable head, featuring one of those really cool kind of over-animated faces that the Turtles tend to make in the Nick Turtles cartoon series. It's actually very easy to pop this on. Like I said before about how the joints are real easy to remove, well, the head pops right off of the peg that's on the ball joint there. The other thing that you're going to want to do is actually pull off the little bandana, because then you plug the bandana onto the back of the other head, and then just kind of work that head down onto that peg on that ball joint. Now, it might take a little bit of work, especially the first time, because it's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze. But once you get that on there, it's a really cool and unique new way to display your turtle figure. This particular Leonardo here comes with sort of like this shocked or surprised face, and it looks completely perfect and accurate to the cartoon series. I don't necessarily know if this is the way I would display my Leo on my toy shelf, but it's really fun having the option to do so. And last but not least, Leonardo comes with his own full pizza. That is pretty cool because we don't really get Ninja Turtle toys that come with pizzas too often, especially pizzas where all the slices are individually removable. That's right, you can actually pull them off of the tray, and every slice has their own little individual peg hole system kind of underneath the slices, so there's a proper way to actually plug them back onto the little base there. But that way you can get your Leonardo holding onto a slice at a time. You can share it with some of your other Turtles figures. It's just a really fun accessory and just an extra bonus added in with this really cool figure. Alright guys, it's comparison time. Here's a look at this brand new Revoltech Leonardo standing alongside the two other prominent Nick Turtles figures from Playmates Toys, just so you can get a good idea of the difference between them. And here he is standing alongside some of the other collector-oriented turtles that we've gotten in the past, featuring the NECA turtle based on the original comic book series, as well as the more recent classic turtle based on the original cartoon series and the original movie. Now, these Revoltech turtles stand right at the 5-inch mark, so that actually puts them about the same size as the Playmates turtles. He was a little bit taller, as you could see, but What's really cool about this is you can still match him up with some of those Playmates vehicles and playsets. I mean, look at him standing next to the Shellraiser. It's still about the same size as we've got with the Nick Turtles figures, and he fits in there just fine, especially since he's so posable. Heck, we can even pair this guy up against our Shredder action figure. But to tell the truth, I like this new one so much, I kind of hope we get a Revoltech Shredder that's just as posable somewhere down the line. So there you go, my friends. There's a look at the brand new Revoltech Leonardo. And this guy is awesome. He is so incredibly awesome. I am such a huge fan of the...